It's like full locking it out, bro. Oh, right on the grass, right on the grass. Hey guys, welcome back to Peak Performance Engineering. I'm Brandon, and today we're back working finally on the Zircon 440cc swapped buggy. It was originally a 150cc. There's tons of other videos on this thing, and I'm finally pulling it out of storage because it's just been sitting for about 6 months. We've been busy with a lot of other projects, but all this thing needs to be able to go run and rip it down the road is to have the chain put back on. So I got a new chain ordered. It's been sitting here for a while, so we're gonna get the chain on. And the other thing that I want to do to this thing is I've got a battery for it, and I want to start to hook up the electric start to get this thing rocking and rolling. Let's go. If you guys saw one of the last videos with this cart, one of the issues we were having was the chain kept falling off. And then I ran into an issue where either the chain was a bit too loose, too slack, or it was too tight and I couldn't quite get it on. So hopefully this will be pretty simple. I've got a brand new chain. I've got two old chains where I think they were too short or something, or too long. I can't remember. It's been too long. But anyway, all I got to do is just go ahead and get the chain on, get it clipped up. You guys have seen me do that in some other videos. And then we should be good to go. Fire this thing up and let's see if we can take it for a rip. Now, the old chain breaker that I had ordered originally from Go Power Sports ended up breaking on me last time I was working on this go-kart, so that kind of sucks. But I ended up ordering this one, I believe, off Amazon. I'll put a link down below, check it out, but I think it was pretty inexpensive, and it's a little bit nicer kit than what we got from Go Power Sports, and I think it was like the same price. Check the link down below, it's in there. But let's go ahead and try this thing out. We just got to take off one little end of the chain and pop a clip on, and we should be in business. Then we gotta, of course, then finish tightening all the bolts, and then we can try to see if it'll still start up. So after playing a little bit with the fitment of this chain, kind of moving the engine back and forth, what it seemed like is that if I moved it kind of back, then, you know, one side of the chain was tight, the other side was loose. If I went the opposite way, it was the opposite problem. So what I think was the issue is that the engine just needed to be raised up a little bit just to take up some of the slack between the bottom sprocket and the smaller sprocket on the torque converter. So what I did was I just took some of the little thin washers I had that were maybe 1/16 of an inch thick. I put those underneath the motor just to raise it that 1/16. And that seems, it seemed really good at first, but once I tightened the motor down, it does seem pretty tight now, like between the train, between the sprocket and the other sprocket. So probably a little tighter than I like. So I'm not sure. I think I'm going to take it off stands, start it up, and take it for a ride and just see how it is. If it's too tight, then maybe I will actually take those spacers or, you know, washers back out. But I think it's probably good to have it tight and, you know, lined up well. Looks like it's aligned really good from what I can see. But I do need to get on the ground, kind of spin it a little bit just to make sure, and then put on the final clip. And we'll see. Holy crap, you guys, I just wasted so much freaking time. So I kind of went back and forth with the stupid washers, no washers. So what really threw me off here is when it's kind of like loose, like when the four engine bolts are kind of loose, there's a ton of slack. And then what must be happening is once I tighten the bolts up, the motor must rock up a little bit and take out some of that slack, make it tight. So with the washers, it was super tight. I was real sketched out, so I tried taking out 2 washers. That helped, but it was still too tight. Took out all 4 washers. So it just took so much freaking time. So I think it's good. I've still got an extra brand new chain if something happens, but hoping it's good to go. So seems all right. Still a little bit kind of tighter than I'd like, but seems to be lined up well. So I'm going to call that good. I think what I'm actually going to do before I try to start this thing and then get the motor hot and then want to die while I'm trying to mess with the electrical is I'm going to try to start messing a little bit with this electrical. So first things first, check this bad boy out. I bought this battery like 6 freaking months ago, but have you guys ever seen a battery that has a freaking digital reader on it? Look at this thing. Tells you how much voltage it's got. It's freaking awesome. So got that on Amazon. I'll drop the link below. But again, it's a gel battery, like an AGM battery, so you can kind of mount this thing however you want. Should be no issues. So I'm going to see if that'll fit in the stock location. And I actually had made a sweet diagram like 6 months ago, had it all written out in my whiteboard in my office and how everything went. And then I ended up erasing it. And I do have a picture, but I got to look for it. But anyway, we only need a few of these wires to go from our actual key switch up here, you know, and run it down to the electric start that I've got to get bolted on to the back of the motor. So I think I just need, I don't even know. Anyway, I'm going to start messing with it. We'll see how it works, and I'll kind of walk you guys through it after I get it all done. So what I'm attempting to accomplish with the electrical on this buggy is I want to be able to use the factory harness and be able to use the original key and just crank it over from there just like normal. So when you buy these motors, these 440 cc's, they do come with like their own little electric start. So this little guy would bolt, to the side right in the back here to the motor, and you'd have a key and you could crank it. But you can see how that's still way better than pull start, but it's still pretty annoying because you can't be inside the cart and be able to turn it on or turn it off. You still have to come out here, crank it, get it started, and then get inside the buggy. So I wanted to be able to use the factory harness. It didn't look too hard. I think I found a video. One video that helped me was Redbeard's Garage. I think he had a pretty good breakdown, and then I was able to create this little diagram over here. But also you're able to test a lot of this stuff yourself. So I've got our battery connected, again, just using the factory cables that came. Then we have the one red cable has a split off, and so it's going over to the positive for the starter. And then our switch for the starter, like our switched 12 volts that comes over from the key, that's also really easy to kind of figure out. So basically you can get in here with your multimeter, probe these 3 wires. One wire is going to have a constant 12 volts that's coming from that battery. One will only have 12 volts once it's turned over in this position, and then one only has 12 volts once it's cranking. Whoops, scared me. Once it's cranking. And so that one that's cranking, follow that back. I think on ours it was yellow with a red tracer, and you just grab the yellow with the red tracer and go ahead and pop that onto the little blade terminal on the starter, and then boom, you've got crankage. So at this point, we could call it good. We could be done with this whole thing. But I also want to make sure that the cutoff works, because the other annoying thing is that if I wanted to say shut this off, if the motor was running right now, I'd have no way to turn off the ignition. The motor would still be running. I'd still have to jump out, come over here, and then shut it off by cutting off the fuel supply or turning on the choke, something like that. So I want to make sure the little cutoff works here, which for that should be the black wire that's coming out of the motor. So yeah, you can kind of see right here, there's a black wire that's coming out. So this black wire should be just needs to go to ground. So we will have to figure out which wire it is on this connector that's coming out of there. Wire that in. It should already be grounded on the other side because the harness already has factory ground built in. So it should be pretty simple. That'll be done. The other thing I want to address is with it right now just all plugged in. You can see we do have our factory lights work, but the problem is right now there's no charging hooked up. So these will run, but they're just going to continually draw down the battery. So we want to hook up the charging, which on our motor should be the brown wire that I think is down here at the bottom somewhere. Where the heck is that guy? But anyway, same thing. There's a brown wire, and so the brown wire needs to go to this voltage regulator, which I'm guessing it's actually, I don't know, it's one of these wires. My little diagram showed, I think orange and yellow were usually the inputs that you need, so I think it just needs to get hooked up in there. But this one actually has this little extra connector here, which kind of makes me wonder if it's going to be this one, if I need to actually run those wires in here. So I'm going to have to play around, figure it out. So let me go ahead and do that, and then I'll give you guys an update. But basically right now, we do have it functioning and cranking, which is great. Once we get these other guys figured out, then I'm going to go ahead and put the battery, it does fit, back in the stock location, and then kind of get the wires all finalized and, get them all pretty and beautiful. And then we should be able to go take this thing for a ride. So for the kill switch, what I just did was this is our wire. Then basically all this guy needs to be is grounded. So what I did first was I had my wife start it up, and I just touched this to the ground with a little jumper wire. It died, so perfect. Then I was just looking, and I noticed that this wire right here is just hanging out, and it's got the right lead. So I just tried touching this to that lead while it was running, and sure enough, that killed it. So this is the wire from up there that is part of the kill switch. You can also confirm it by the color, blue with the white tracer. And I'm pretty sure when I looked at this guy before, it's also blue with the white tracer. I can't, yep, it sure is. There it is right there. Not sure if you guys can see it, but yeah, blue with the white tracer. So that's it. And so it's just simply, you know, kind of going up in there with the ground and then going back to a real ground. So that's perfect. So now we're going to have this thing functioning. So that's easy peasy. Now the next thing to figure out is where the heck that brown wire went. But basically that's going to be the brown wire we need to figure out for the voltage regulator for the output. I'm hoping it's just one of these or both of these, and I can either use this connector or cut it off or something to make that all work. And then that's going to be it. We can put it all back together. Also to note, for the ground on this factory harness, it just has one ground here, and then there's another green ground here. So I've ground, at least for now, I've ground both of them to the same location. I like to always keep the grounds in the same spot. That way you're not chasing multiple things. You'll know what the issue is, but I'm not sure if it'll stay right there. Once we get the battery moved and the harness start to be rerouted, we'll kind of figure it out. But any good engine ground should be pretty good. Should be good to go. What else? The other thing is we shouldn't need this. So this is like the CDI ignition box for the little 150cc, which we're not using anymore with this 440. So this, I should be able to just go ahead and unplug this. I'm going to actually probably double check and I'll try that just to make sure once I unplug it. I don't know if anything else, other grounds are causing any little issues, but should be able to get rid of that. This is also not being used because this is like kind of a manual cutoff that used to be in the back of the 150 buggy that would shut off the ignition. But again, this unit has its own ignition, so this is kind of useless. So you could kind of tidy this up, probably cut these wires, you know, put some tape on them, just make sure they're okay, and then you could retape them because they're not going to get used. Same for this part of the harness here. You know, probably all these wires can get cut, shortened, and taped up just out of the way out of the harness. And otherwise, this has been super simple to be able to just reuse your stock harness and make it all work. That brown wire for the voltage regulator is right here. So it's just coming kind of right out of the blue case there. And so basically this is just going to be the guy now. We just got to figure out, I think this guy, is probably going to go to, where was those wires coming out of the voltage regulator? I'm guessing maybe it's these guys. And that's probably why they're off on their own little thing. So I'll probably have to, I'm still kind of looking through my stuff to see if I have this other connector to wire it to it. Otherwise, I'm just going to cut this off, and then I'll try to just connect them and see if it works. So I'm kind of running out of time. I did some research online. Still kind of not super sure on this voltage regulator as far as how to wire this bad boy up. It seems like maybe the black and green, I'm thinking the green's a ground, actually, and then this black is like, from what I can understand, it's like a current sensing, something with the battery for the switch. So basically when you have the switch off, there's no power going to this thing to keep it from draining the battery. But I don't know how the heck it kind of connects back in. Like I have this connector, but I don't see how else it goes back there. I don't know. So I was getting confused. I was like, you know what? We got some other crap to do. We got to finish the Mustang today, go out to Woodward. So I think what I'm doing now is I just kind of move the battery, getting it back into the stock location. I'm going to redo all the wires, just make sure it's all looking good, get it zip tied up out of the way. And then at a later time, I'll mess with getting this done. But at least for now, it still cranks. We did get the shut off working for that button up there, so we could shut the engine off from the cockpit now. So that's basically everything I wanted to do. Eventually, if I end up keeping this thing, I'd probably swap the stock headlights out for some LEDs, some low power LEDs anyway. And then at that time we can figure out the regulator, or I think we may even just need to get like a 4-wire regulator. I don't know. I'll have to do some research. If you guys know how the heck this thing works, let me know, because all I'm trying to figure out is, our brown voltage regulator output, what wire does it go to, on this? I think it goes to the pink and yellow, but the problem is, do I also need to hook up the ground or whatever? Because as far as I can tell, the red one has 12 volts coming in. That was the only one with voltage. So, yeah. All right, let me get you guys in and show you what we got. So we got all the wiring all completed, ready to go, hopefully. Batteries in there. Couldn't find the original tie down, so just use some zip ties for now. But basically all the wiring is kind of secured back behind here, so it's all pretty good. I got about 275 zip ties holding it all together. Wanted to make sure there's clearance so it's not touching the motor. Make sure it's got room for articulation of the frame without anything hitting. It all seems really, really good. Yeah, and then I ended up moving the grounds from this top location because I just wanted to keep this all clean, and I moved that ground down here to that bottom little piece right there. So hopefully you can see it, boom, right there on the motor. So it goes right into the block. So still a good little deal. And yeah, everything's working. Now the only thing I got to do right now is I'm gonna run up to the store because this freaking hose, I mean, it's only like a year old, maybe not. Maybe last time I messed with it 6 months ago, I put this on. But anyway, it's already dry rotted, cracking, it's leaking fuel. The other night it was really leaking, so I ended up cutting it and moving it up. But yeah, this hose is smoke. So I'm gonna go to the actual auto parts store and get some fuel injection hose. That way it's high pressure, you know, it's made to hold fuel, it'll last for decades, and we won't have this issue because this is real dangerous. The other day I came out and I smelled gas and it was just kind of dripping down, leaking onto the motor. So you know, the way this is set up, you don't want to have this thing blow out on the trail. It would literally just start, you know, puking gas all over the motor and you get a fire, and, you know, thermal incidents are not good to have happen. Okay, guys. So we're going to do that, and then we should be able to fire this thing up and take it for a ride. So the few times when I was messing with the kill switch, engine fired right up, you know, no problem. So I think we'll be good. And then it's just a matter of, you know, do we have this issue with the chain all figured out? So I don't know. I hope so. I might even mess with that. It almost looks like it's still a little bit too far that way, the engine. So maybe the engine needs to go back 1/8 of an inch or something. Oh yeah, it does look crooked. So crap. Okay, so I'll probably have to loosen the bolts again and try to move it one more time. But then hopefully the next thing will be some live action. All right, so we got this thing all ready to rock. I changed out this fuel line. And so I don't know what the heck I was doing before, but it looks like I just had some vacuum line previously. And so this is actually some fuel injection hose. So this is made for fuel. You know, we're not gonna have any more of those issues like we were having. So that's all good. And what else? Otherwise, yeah, that was kind of the last thing. Battery's tied down, all that good stuff. So we're ready to, you know, start it up, take it for a rip. Oh, I also did move the motor back just a little bit, and I think it's straighter. So I think it's like damn straight, perfectly straight. The only thing now that a little bit concerns me is the chain is kind of really close to that pulley, but it's not hitting. So hopefully it's good. Hopefully everything's good. Hopefully it freaking just no more issues and we're good to go. And then yeah, should be awesome. Boys, we got some live action here. Woo! And that 440's moving out, boy. So I took it for a little rip in the backyard. Everything seemed fine, like no one's gonna die. So letting Steph take it for a little rip here. And yeah, feeling awesome, man. So nice being able to just shut that thing off with a key, just like normal, except, you know, you've got double the horsepower of a stock 150, so pretty sweet. Oh, she done fucked up my driveway. Oh dang. All right, boys, I'd say everything is kosher and working 110% on this bad boy. Woo! Yeah, this was fresh grass. Not so much. She likes to drift. Yeah, get it. All right, so one thing I love about this, you guys, is the sound. So this 440cc, it sounds freaking just so much deeper, so much awesomer than the 150cc. You know, that alone's pretty awesome, but watch this, dude. It's just got so much power, so much torque. Ooh! shit. Awesome. Yeah. Get you some of that, baby. You ain't doing that in your 150cc, bro. Yeah, so we have been ripping this thing for probably 45 minutes between me and Steph. So we, well, anyway, me and Cammie shut it off. I was gonna actually let her try to like drive on my lap, and the starter is no longer working. So something happened. Battery's still connected, but maybe we blew like the little fuse. Oh, you got a bug? So maybe it blew the fuse. But anyway, oh my God, this thing, absolute beast. The Go Power Sports torque converter. Gosh, I was so mad that it was like $380 or however expensive it was, but holy crap, you guys, this thing works great. The belt still looks good, still in good condition. This is the first time we haven't blown a freaking belt, right? The chain never came off, so the alignment I did on that was freaking awesome. And this thing has just been literally drifting all around the freaking trees in the back, drifting all around this thing. I'm gonna have to rake all this stuff up, but absolutely epic. So that's going to be it for this one, guys. Hopefully this helps you guys. If you've got a 150cc GY6, definitely check out all the other videos that I've done on this series to be able to swap a Duromax 440cc into your kart. A lot of fun, sounds great. The torque is freaking amazing, and this thing is so fast. So in the next video, I'll do some updates with maybe top speed and all that kind of stuff. We'll have to figure out what's going on with the electrical on this kart. So anyway, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care.